So continuing on from part 1, I was talking about the line being the transversal line. In this case, it is line L, because if you notice, we have line M and we have line N, and then they are both intersected by line L. So it's going to be our transversal line. The next vocab term is adjacent angles. So we say that two angles are adjacent when they have these two things. They have a common side, in this case, side is this blue line, ray I should say, I'm sorry. And then that they also have a common vertex, which is this point here. So notice 5 and 6 are both considered adjacent angles because they have this common side and they also share the vertex. So go ahead, take a minute and name all the adjacent angles in this image. You should have gotten angle 1 and angle 2, angle 3 and 4, angle 5 and 6, angle 8 and 7, but also we can look at it going this way. So we could say angle 8 and 5, 7, 6, 4, 1, and 3, 2. The next word is alternate interior angles. Interior meaning inside. So these are angles that are diagonal from one another inside two lines. If the angles are congruent, then we say that the lines are parallel. So in this image here, notice these two lines, if we look inside, we have angles C and B are alternate interior and angles A and D are alternate interior. And in this case, again, if they are parallel, we can say that they are equal. So we can say, if they're parallel, we could say angle C and angle B are equal to one another, congruent, and that angle A and angle D will be congruent to one another. So go ahead and list all the alternate interior angles in this image. You should have gotten angle 4 and angle 6 and angle 3 and angle 5, because notice these are the angles that are inside lines M and N, and then they're diagonal from each other. Now, if I say that angle 4 is 100 degrees and angle 6 is 100 degrees, are lines M and N parallel? So I'm going to go ahead and first just label it inside my image. Angle 4 is 100, angle 6 is 100. And then notice angle 4 and angle 6 are both inside lines M and N, and they're diagonal from one another. So they are in fact alternate interior angles, and because they are equal or congruent, we can say that line M is parallel to line N. Okay, now I'm going to say angle 4 is 97 degrees and angle 5 is 83 degrees. Are these lines M and N parallel? So let's take a look. If I go ahead and again fill in what I know angle 4 is 97 degrees, angle 5 is 83 degrees. If I know angle 5 is 83 degrees, then I can say angle 6 is 97, because if we look, 5 and 6 are supplementary angles. So by definition, they're going to add up to 180. So I know that angle there is 97. Now that I have that filled in, I should notice that 4 and 6 are alternate interior angles, and they are equal, so that tells me M and N are parallel. Now we have alternate exterior angles. Remember, exterior meaning on the outside. So these angles are diagonal from one another and they lie outside of your two lines. And again, if these angles are congruent, then we can state those lines are parallel to each other. So go ahead in this image, list all the alternate interior angles. And you should have gotten 1 and 7. They're diagonal and both outside the lines. And then 2 and 8. Again, diagonal and outside the lines M and N. Okay, this example, if angle 1 is 100 degrees and angle 7 is 100 degrees, are lines M and N parallel? So again, first thing, I'm always going to just mark it in my image. 1 is 100 degrees, 7 is 100 degrees. And if I look and see, 1 and 7 are both outside of my lines, and they are diagonal from one another, so they are in fact alternate exterior angles, and because they are congruent, I can state that M and N are parallel. So go ahead, if angle 1 is equal to 94 degrees and angle 8 is equal to 85 degrees, our lines M and N parallel. So again, I'm going to go ahead and label first what I know. And then if I know that angle 8 is 85 degrees, then I'm going to go ahead and calculate that angle 7 is going to be 95 degrees, because again, angle 8 and 7, they're supplementary. So I can go ahead and solve that. 180 minus 85 is 95. And once I fill that in, angles 1 and 7 are alternate exterior, but they are not congruent. So M and N are not parallel. Lastly, corresponding angles. These angles occupy the same relative position, and if these angles are congruent, then the lines are parallel.